Today, we're unpacking what it really means to be a serious trader, the kind who treats trading like a profession, not a thrill. Joining me today, a trader known for his precision, patience, and process, Tyron. Pleasure to meet you. How are you?
Firstly, thank you very much for having me on the podcast. But I'm very well, thanks, and yourself.
I'm doing good, doing good. Happy to be in Cape Town, and I'm excited for this conversation. I think we're going to really unpack some great things for the listeners and also for ourselves. Before we jump in, though, Tyron, in one sentence, what does being a serious trader mean to you?
I think one sentence, being a serious trader is being a risk manager. I think that sums it up.
Because I hear a lot of people saying I'm a professional trader, a full-time trader, or I'm a serious trader. And I sometimes don't know really what is the underlying definition for them. So for you, it's being good at risk management or exercising risk management.
100%. I think that forms the base.
Interesting. Okay. Now, in your opinion, what separates a serious trader from an impulsive one?
So being a serious trader, obviously, again, like I said, the base is risk management. But outside of that is having a sort of strict routine and system in place that you stay consistent with. I think that separates a serious trader from an impulsive trader. An impulsive trader, sort of, there's no system, routine may lack. You're just impulsive.
But could you technically be an impulsive trader, but also serious? Because you need to be able to respond quickly and take decisions quickly, right? Or is it different?
Yeah, what I understand from being impulsive is you're reactive. Being reactive from an impulsive point of view versus being reactive in terms of reacting to criteria within your trading plan, I think there's a difference between the two. Being an impulsive trader, I wouldn't think that is a good thing, but being reactive or impulsive when it comes to your plan, I think that is a totally different side of it.
Got it, yeah, because when I hear reactive trader, that's someone who's almost trading with emotions. And it's just allowing the emotions to create their decisions or, how they're operating. But what I understand is that you treat trading like a business. What does that look like day to day?
Yeah. So again, routine is very, very important. Having a structured day, routine breeds discipline, and discipline breeds consistency. So day to day, I'll wake up, I'll head to the gym, get some cardio in, come home, get ready for session, mentally prepare, run through a checklist, see, am I fit to sit for session and manage risk? Am I in the correct mental space? And all those external elements before I then sit down in front of charts. I'll then sit down for session open, London session. If I get a setup, I get a setup. If not, I'll call it a day and carry on.
So your trading plan actually starts before the actual trading. It's actually looking in the mirror to an extent and saying, okay, am I ready for today?
100%.
Interesting. How does that work? I mean, you actually have a checklist to say, am I happy? Am I sad? Or how does that work?
Yeah, it's kind of what is going on outside of the charts in, my personal life. How's it affecting my mental state, my psychological state? Am I too emotional to be managing risk? Am I, too hyped up? I like to refer to it as being in flow state. You're calm, you're collected. You know exactly what needs to be done. You're able to make informed decisions, calculated decisions. And, for me, that's very important, is to be in flow state when trading.
But that sounds like quite a wisdom to be able to kind of have the clarity to identify that. Was that always the case for you, or is this kind of just kind of developed over time?
100%. I think, it has developed with maturity, if you will, and also with experience. Because, with that experience, you're able to identify things that work, things that don't work. And trading or the charts is almost like, I'm sure you've heard before, it's 5%. Psychology is the 95%, right? And, being in touch and in tune with yourself and being self-aware is very, very important when it comes to trading.
Got it. I love what you said about just the psychology element is the majority of trading. And we'll discuss that a little bit later, but it's amazing how little attention and understanding that majority of traders have, just thinking that it's purely on the charts. With that being said, though, what would you say are the biggest misconceptions people have about discipline in trading?
So the biggest misconception that traders have is they think that discipline is about controlling their emotions, when in reality, it's about controlling their environment and their systems. And that starts with, again, routine, structure, and a systematic approach. Emotions don't have a place in trading. It's all about system, which comes from data record. And once you implement that, so then leads to the discipline, which then leads to consistency, and then that will sort of automatically put your emotional element in check.
I've always heard just managing emotions or controlling emotions, as you say. But in your opinion, it's about actually just removing emotions from the
100%.
I haven't heard that before, and I imagine it's not easy, but it really takes pretty clear-headed individual to really have that kind of honesty.
Yeah, I think trading is very systematic. Like I said, it's not emotional. And the reason I say that is because we've all heard about a trading plan, right? You need a trading plan before you can actually trade. That trading plan, again, is systematic because it's been developed through, what you see on the charts. What you see on the charts doesn't involve emotion, right? It's a system that you've put in place. You trade that system. And if you trade that system with discipline and consistency, it then automatically eliminates the emotional side.
So, but if you have a trading plan, or one of our listeners has a trading plan, and it's just they haven't been successful yet, when do you just kind of give up and say, maybe I need to pivot and look at a different strategy, or do you just work that trading plan until you see the results?
Again, trading is very personalized, but if they haven't found consistency yet, it might not be the trading plan that's the problem. It could be the emotional element that is coming in without them realizing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, maybe they might need to tweak a thing or two within their trading plan to kind of, increase the probability aspect of their plan. But I think, I wouldn't solely put it down to their trading plan being the issue.
Well, with the trading plan, I presume that tracking your progress is quite important. So in your opinion, what are some specific metrics that are important to track outside of just your standard P&L, profit and loss?
So, again, I think journaling is quite an important thing.
So what does that encompass for you? Like the date, the currency pair?
So I journal the trades in terms of reviewing. So I will have a video recording of the analysis before execution and management.
Okay.
And thereafter, once, the trade is played out, or the setup is played out, I will then record again, break that down and say, what happened here? What is the reason for the loss? What is the reason for the win? What did the management look like? And I will then put that together and say, okay, well, this is the entire process from analysis, pre-execution and management to after the setup is played out to, what it looked like during and after the.
So would you say that, have you had trades that were profitable but were bad trades?
100%, and I think every trader has.
Got it. And then potentially losing trades that maybe they weren't a bad trade per se?
Yes. So trading involves probability. So you cannot categorize a win as a good trade or a loss as a bad trade. Like I said, it all comes down to having a system in place and trading that system with discipline and consistency. And that system is going to give you a loss here and there, and it's going to give you a win here and there, right? And that's pretty much how I look at it. If it's a loss, it is what it is.
I think that a lot of traders don't do trade journaling. Could it be because of just it's a mundane process, or because they actually have to really look at their mistakes, or really, be kind of open with what they've done? But for people who want to start doing trade journaling, what would be some points of advice that you would give them to do as maybe an entry-level type of journaling?
So I think journaling is important when you first start out. And the reason I say that is because the process of journaling, again, it holds you accountable. And it also almost instills that system you have, or that trading plan that you've structured. Because, when you do journal, you're journaling the entire process, and you then realize, okay, well, this is where I've gone wrong. This is where I've broken that plan. This is where I've adhered to the plan. And it through the process of journaling, it kind of just installs that. So with, going through the months, the years, that trading plan is engraved. And then, you'll get to a certain point where you won't have to, well, like me personally at the moment, I don't journal because my trading plan is engraved. I know it from the back of my hand.
Sure. But let's talk about the actual trading systems and how this can impact your trading decisions or the quality of your trades.
Yeah.
You could be in the correct mental state. You have your trading plan, but perhaps maybe the platform has a slow execution, or maybe trading conditions aren't good. How do trading conditions actually impact your trading plan?
Yeah, so the trading conditions has a massive effect on your day-to-day trading and your trading plan, where slow execution or an unreliable platform, it takes that confidence away, and it affects your emotional stability. And you have your doubts, and you got your hesitations. So I think it's got a massive impact on your trading decisions.
What would you say, in your opinion, is the most important trade condition? If you look at, let's say, stop out level, spreads, slippages, these type of things, which for you is the most critical for your success?
For me personally, the two biggest things are execution.
So speed.
So speed.
Yeah.
Speed and execution, as well as spread.
A spread as well.
Yeah.
I see, all these brokers, they advertise all these super low spreads. And I say, okay, that's great if I can see a Euro USD spread at 0.1, for example. But I'm more concerned with what is the actual total spread, between open and close. And if I'm going to open it with a 0.1 spread and I'm going to close it with a 5 pips and slippage, my effective spread is not that 0.1. And it's just not so transparent. And I don't find spreads to be very transparent from a brokerage perspective.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, the slippage element is also very important. But, with XNS, I don't really experience the slippage. With my style of trading, because I'm intraday and I trade session, spread is very important for me.
Sure. When you hear the word transparency from a broker, what does that really mean to you?
Transparency, it speaks volumes. And again, it affects your trading, your day-to-day and your trading decisions, your confidence, your emotional stability. Because, at the end of the day, it's not just a platform you're using to trade. You've got your funds housed there. And if you don't have that transparency from the broker, you then have your doubts, your suspicions, your hesitations.
How can we make transparency, what's tangible to you as being transparent from a broker perspective? Or for somebody to look at, say, they want to identify a transparent broker, what do they look for? Because a lot of the stuff you can't really quantify it or see it.
Yeah, so I think for me personally, what I would look for is, presence in terms of that tangible element of, let's say, an office space with individuals that you can speak to, humans that you can speak to. You're not logging onto the platform and you've got to sit in a queue with a chatbot, or an agent. You've got individuals that are at the office that we can speak to.
No doubt.
That's the first thing, and then the other thing would be withdrawals. No issues with withdrawals. You process a withdrawal, you receive your withdrawal in a timely
and quick
and fast.
Or you make a big profit and they send it right away. They're not trying to reverse engineer the trade. So
exactly.
Look for violations and these type of things.
100%.
No doubt about it. Do you think that traders can use transparencies and fast withdrawals as an indication of a reliable or a quality broker?
100%. But in saying that, I would like to add one to that, and that would be the customer support element in terms of, again, that presence, office space, real human beings. That we can engage with and speak to.
Got it. So your value of transparency is more on, not on the trading side, really. I mean, it's more on just, as you said, the personal touch, the trust. My money's my money.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay. All right. So often in this industry, I see that traders become successful a little too early in their careers, and it creates really unrealistic expectations going forward. It creates an element of greed, overambition, whatever you want to call that. But I think it's almost hurts them in the long run. And, their plans go out the door. They're not exercising good risk management. What happens when ambition crosses into overtrading, and where is that kind of fine line?
Okay, I love that. Where ambition crosses into overtrading, that is, the stage where what should fuel growth slowly starts sabotaging it. And what I mean by that is, you then start going from systems into being compulsive. And that then obviously affects discipline. And when discipline starts falling through the cracks, your risk profile explodes. And then you know what happens when that takes place.
Downward
Yeah, downward spiral.
If you're in that, that kind of tunnel vision and you're kind of spiraling, let's say, I mean, how can you really identify when you're at that kind of breaking point?
So I would say, again, you're in that downward spiral. You can't catch a grip. You can't step out of that situation and say, okay, well, hold on a minute. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Am I staying true to the plan? And if emotions have come in, you're clearly off your plan, right? That's when you'll realize that you're now in a bad place. Then I would say you need to step away from the charts for a while. You need to take a break, take a week's break, 2 weeks break, reset and realign, and then go back.
So if I'm a trader and I can go back and I'm looking at my trades from the previous day, and I'm like, look, this is not sticking to my plan. There's no risk management strategy here. Didn't set a stop loss, whatever you want to call it. I think that's a great way, kind of a great starting point to really identify where my head's at.
Yeah.
And I hope to see more traders kind of take that into consideration. How do you manage the tension between waiting for fast results and staying consistent? Obviously, this is a business we're trying to earn, but how do you manage that type of element?
So I'm sure you've heard of the age-old story of the hare and the tortoise. Slow, consistent, steady wins the race.
Sure.
So that's what it's about. The fast pace in terms of fast results and it's not sustainable over the long term.
Yeah.
If you're treating this like a career, as you should be, doing things fast, flipping accounts, it's not sustainable over the long term. Whereas if you do it slowly, you're consistent in it with your approach, with your routine, that is sustainable over the long term. It's not exhausting. There's no emotion involved. Whereas, fast wins, big wins, there's a lot of emotion that is involved there.
Sure. Now, I see that, and even from my earlier days, and even sometimes now, sometimes I don't feel that I have a clear goal as to what my expectations are for the trading day or for the month. From your standpoint, do you have, let's say, like a percentage of ROI that you're looking to achieve for like a day or a month, and then that's your goal and you close it? Or are you just kind of every day, just as long as I'm following the plan, if that means minus 5% or plus 5%, I'm okay? How do goals and create goal setting work for you?
I personally don't agree with setting targets or setting goals.
Profit or loss targets?
Yeah, profit or loss targets or ROI percentages. I do not believe in setting those.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because it creates an expectation. And when you've got that expectation, you then need to push for something, right? For example, if I set a daily target and there's no setup that meets my plan, I can't trade for the day. But now I've not met that target.
Sure.
So in order to meet that target,
you'll meet one of the targets, one way or the other.
Yeah, I need to trade to meet that target.
Precisely.
And that then leads to me forcing a trade. So that target now becomes, I then go into the negative. Now I've got to make that up.
Sure.
So you start pushing more. And that's how you start downward spiraling.
But then, okay, with that being said, though, it's good in life to just have kind of some goals or targets, so objectives. So for you, I mean, how does it look for the big picture, the long picture, or is this just a daily grind?
Yep, just, day in and day out. That's kind of what the market gives, I'll take. I don't show up expecting anything from the market because at the end of the day, the market owes us nothing, right?
Sure.
So I'll sit down. If I get something, I get something. If I don't, I don't. And I think it's worked wonders for me in terms of, not setting expectations, just showing up with a plan, trading that plan, being consistent in it. And, that's how that leads to growth.
So, I mean, you obviously you're very emotionally sound with this industry. You're managing it. It's not managing you, let's say. But with that being said, after, let's say, a big trading win or a big trading loss, how do you reset, or do you not reset and you live in that moment? What is your mental state during these periods?
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of, again, it's just another day at the office.
Got it. So you don't take it home with you per se.
No.
This is just how it works.
As much as trading is systematic, where I'm still a human being and I still have emotions.
Naturally.
Again, in closing that big win or closing that big loss, for a couple seconds, maybe a couple minutes, hour thereafter, maybe I'll have heightened emotions.
Got it.
But, then you leave it there and you carry on. And you then show up again the next day with the same routine and the same discipline.
How long have you been trading for now?
what, 8 years, 7, 8 years.
8 years. Do you remember kind of the point where things just kind of clicked, where you kind of became so level and Zen trader, if you will?
Listen, I mean, I still improve daily, monthly, year on year. I mean, we never at our peak, right? You can always push further, and but in terms of that moment and when it did click, and I'm almost, let's say, fell in tune, or started realizing and acknowledging that flow state.
Yeah.
Was kind of what I can't put a date to it,
Sure.
but it's probably like good 2-3 years ago.
And would you say that trading became more enjoyable after that?
One thing about trading is, I think I don't like to say it's enjoyable. And the reason I say that is because trading it's not a game. So
Yeah.
you don't get thrill from, well, you're not supposed to get thrill from it.
Sure.
Because again, that backtracks into the emotional element of it. It's like anybody else shows up to their job, I do the same.
Yeah.
My job is trading. I show up daily. I do what I need to do, and I carry on. I don't do it for the thrill. I don't do it because it's cool. I don't do it because it's exciting. I mean, yes, I'm passionate about it. I love what I do.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that it's exciting.
Okay, it's good to hear this kind of approach, because again, I mean, I've been working with traders for a while. For example, I would say over half of them are doing it more from an entertainment standpoint, not actual true investment. And the ones that say they're doing it from, let's say, a true investment standpoint, there's just so many really critical entry level flaws that they're doing in no trading plan, no risk management, et cetera. So it's just good to see this kind of approach, because again, it's all business for you.
100%.
Good for you, though. I mean, that's amazing. With that being said, true mastery doesn't come from chasing every trade. It comes from knowing when to pause, reflect, and know your process. And it sounds, Tyron, that you have the process in spades. So hats off to you. With that being said, thanks again for your time and the education, and I hope to see you soon in Cape Town.
No, thank you so much for having me again. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure.
And
Take care.
yeah, it's a privilege to be on this.
Back at you. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Born to Trade. If you missed earlier episodes, catch up to hear how traders across Africa are shaping markets and mastering their craft. We would appreciate it if you could support the podcast by subscribing and leaving us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.